A lone human engineer named Evan Hale steps out of his shuttle onto a strange moon after receiving an emergency distress call. The message only said, "Please help me before they come back." Nothing else, no name, no coordinates except this moon. But when Evan enters an abandoned alien bunker, he freezes. A tall alien woman stands in the dark, her face hidden under a hood, trembling as she whispers, "My face is frightening, you should not look at me." Before Evan can reply, something huge moves in the shadows behind him. Evan keeps calm and tries to speak softly. The alien woman apologizes again, saying her appearance scares all species. Strange metallic footsteps echo through the bunker tunnels. She begs him to follow her deeper inside before they return. She leads Evan to a large underground hall filled with ruined alien technology. Evan senses she has been hiding here for a long time. She refuses to show her face and keeps her hood down. She explains she sent the distress call because the Hunters, a group of biomechanical enemies, are searching for her. She calls herself Reva, a last survivor of her clan. Welcome to my channel Starlight Sci-Fi Stories. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Evan Hale had travelled to many strange worlds in his life, but none of them felt as lonely and silent as the small moon he landed on now. His shuttle touched down on a flat field of dust and black stone, and the silence that followed was so heavy it felt alive. There was no wind, no sound, nothing but his own breathing inside the helmet. He was here because of a distress call, one short message that repeated again and again through static. "Help me please before they come back." The message had no name, no species code, no details. It did not even sound like a normal voice. It sounded weak, broken, maybe afraid. Evan had tried to trace it, and after hours of searching it finally led him here to this empty moon at the edge of a forgotten star. He stepped out of the shuttle and scanned the horizon. Nothing, only rocks and dust under a pale blue sky, but the signal was strong. Whoever sent the message was close. He walked forward until his scanner pointed to a crack in the ground, a narrow opening leading down into darkness. The signal came from below. Evan tightened the straps on his suit and climbed down carefully, the beam from his flashlight cutting through the deep shadows. As he moved deeper into the underground tunnel, he felt something strange in the air. Not a smell, but a feeling as if the walls were holding their breath. The tunnel opened into a large chamber filled with old alien technology, broken screens, dead machines, pieces of armor scattered on the floor. This place had once been alive, busy, full of people working, but something terrible had happened here, something that left only silence behind. Evan kept walking slowly. "Hello," he called out. "Is anyone here? I heard your call." His voice echoed, soft and lonely inside the empty hall. Then he heard it, a faint sound like someone breathing. Evan froze, eyes scanning the shadows. The breathing grew louder, closer, until he saw movement in the far corner. A figure stood there, hidden in darkness, tall and thin, wrapped in a dark cloak with a hood covering the face. Evan raised his hands calmly. "It's okay, I'm not a threat, I'm here to help." The figure trembled. Slowly the hooded head lifted. A soft, shaking voice came from beneath the hood. You came," she whispered. "I did not think anyone would answer." Her voice was soft but full of fear. Not fear of Evan, fear of something else, something still coming. Evan stepped closer, keeping his movements slow. "Yes, I answered your distress call. Are you hurt?" "No," she said quickly, as if afraid he would come closer. Stay back. I do not want to frighten you." "You're not frightening me," Evan said gently. "You don't have to be scared." She lowered her head. "You don't understand. My face, it scares everyone. Even my own kind could barely look at me." Evan frowned. "I don't judge people by looks." "You will," she whispered. "Everyone does." Something clanked loudly in the distance, a metallic scraping like machines walking. The hooded woman flinched and stepped back into the shadows. "They are here," she whispered. "They found me." Evan turned toward the noise, hand moving to the small tool pack on his belt. He wasn't a soldier, but he had survived enough dangerous worlds to know when trouble was coming. "Who are they?" he asked quietly. "The Hunters," she said. "They will not stop until I am taken or killed. Please follow me quickly." She turned and hurried into a narrow hallway. Evan followed without hesitation. The chamber behind them lit up with red beams as the Hunters scanned the area. Their heavy footsteps echoed like thunder. The woman led him through twisting tunnels, deeper and deeper into the underground complex. The walls shook as something powerful moved above them. She finally stopped in a small room that looked like a storage area. A dim blue light glowed from the ceiling, revealing more details about her. She was tall, maybe 7 feet, thin but graceful, with long arms and a delicate shape. The cloak hid most of her form, but Evan could see small patches of glowing patterns on her hands, like living blue tattoos. She stayed with her back against the wall, hood down low. "Thank you for following," she said quietly. "My name, you may call me Riva." "I'm Evan," he said. "Are you trapped here?" "Yes, I have been hiding for many months. My world is gone, my people are gone, and the hunters will not stop looking for me. I thought I could escape in this bunker, but they always find me again." "Why do they want you?" Evan asked. Riva shook her head. "It is not something I can explain now, not while they are so close." Evan listened to the distant echo of heavy footsteps. "We should keep moving," he said. "They're getting closer." Riva stepped back. "No, you must leave me. If they find you with me, you will die." "I'm not leaving you," Evan said firmly. "You don't even know me." "Doesn't matter, you called for help, I came." She stared at him in silence. Evan couldn't see her eyes under the hood, but he felt the weight of her gaze. "You humans," she whispered, "you risk too much." Another crash echoed through the tunnels, closer this time. Dust fell from the ceiling. Riva grabbed Evan's arm. "This way," she said urgently. They ran through another hallway until they reached a large circular chamber filled with old alien machines. At the center stood a tall console, broken but still glowing faintly. Riva stopped and turned toward him. "Before we go any farther," she said softly, "you must hear the truth. My face, it is not like yours, it is not like any species you know. I was born different. My clan saw me as cursed, my enemies saw me as a monster. I hide my face because I cannot bear to see fear in the eyes of others again." Evan took a step closer. "Whatever you look like, it doesn't matter." Riva shook her head. "You speak with kindness, but you do not know. Once you see me, you will understand why I hide. My appearance frightens people, sometimes even causes pain." Evan gave her a calm smile. "Let me be the judge of that." Riva hesitated. Her hands shook softly at her sides. "They are almost here," she whispered. "If they see you helping me, they will hunt you too." "I'm already in this," Evan said. "Show me your face, Riva, trust me." Another explosion rocked the chamber. Lights flickered. The hunters were breaking through the outer tunnel. Riva stepped back, shaking her head. "I cannot, you will run, you will fear me." "I won't," Evan said quietly. "I promise." The red glow of enemy scanners filled the hallway behind them. There was no more time. Riva lifted her shaking hands to her hood. "You asked for this," she whispered. "Do not lie to me after you see." She slowly lowered her hood. Evan froze, not from fear but from shock. Her face was nothing like he imagined. Her skin glowed softly like crystal, shifting colors with her emotions. Her eyes were large, bright, swirling like galaxies. Instead of hair, she had long strands of energy that moved gently like liquid light. She looked powerful and fragile at the same time, like a living star trying to hide itself. She looked terrified. "I know," she whispered, voice cracking. "I know it is frightening, I know." Evan stepped closer, slowly, carefully, like approaching something sacred. "Riva, you're not frightening." She trembled. "Do not lie to me." "I'm not lying." He took another step closer, his voice steady. You're the most beautiful being I've ever seen." Riva's glowing eyes widened. For the first time, she seemed speechless. But the moment was cut short by a loud crash as the hunters broke into the chamber behind them. Tall metallic figures with red glowing eyes stepped inside, their weapons raised, scanning the room. Riva gasped and backed away. Evan grabbed her hand. "Come on, we have to move." But Riva did not move. She stood frozen, staring at him, her expression confused and full of something she had not felt in a long time: hope. You truly do not fear me," she whispered. "Not even a little," Evan said. The hunters aimed their weapons. Evan pulled Riva behind a console as lasers fired across the room, lighting everything with red flashes. Riva clutched his arm. "We cannot escape them." "Yes, we can," Evan said, "but you have to trust me." The hunters advanced, their heavy steps shaking the floor. Riva looked at him, eyes glowing softly, "Then lead the way." Evan took a deep breath, his mind racing. He wasn't a soldier, but humans were good at one thing: surviving impossible situations. He pulled Reva into a side tunnel as the hunters fired again. Sparks flew, dust filled the air, the old machines around them shattered under the blasts. Reva stumbled as she ran, overwhelmed by everything happening at once. "Evan," she whispered, "why did you say that about my face?" "Because it's true. No one has ever said that to me." Then they were blind. Reva stared at him again, confused, vulnerable, glowing gently in the darkness. Behind them, the hunters roared in metallic voices and began charging down the tunnel. And the moon trembled. That was how part 1 ended. Evan running through the collapsing tunnels with the alien woman who believed her face was a curse, while the hunters chased them like unstoppable shadows. And somewhere between danger and darkness, Reva heard something she never thought she would hear in her life. A human calling her beautiful. The tunnels shook as Evan and Reva ran deeper into the old alien bunker. Red lights flashed behind them as the hunters followed, their heavy metal bodies smashing through walls like they were paper. Evan could feel the heat of their laser fire hitting the stone walls just inches from his back. The whole place felt like it was falling apart, and the sound of the hunters' footsteps echoed like metal thunder. Reva ran beside him, her cloak flowing, the glowing strands on her head moving like soft blue fire. She kept looking over her shoulder, fear clear in her bright swirling eyes. "They are faster," she whispered. "They will catch us." "Not if we're smarter," Evan said, pulling a small device from his tool pack. "Humans always find a way." The tunnel ahead split into 2 paths. Evan checked the map on his wrist scanner. The left tunnel led to a dead end. The right went deeper toward a reactor chamber. He chose the right and pulled Reva with him. The hunters reached the split in the tunnel behind them, scanning both paths. Evan threw his device into the left tunnel, and it activated with a loud beeping sound. The hunters immediately turned toward the noise. As soon as they stepped in, the floor collapsed under their heavy weight, sending 2 of them crashing into the deep pit below. Reva stared at Evan with shock. You tricked them." "That's how humans survive," Evan said. "Outthink the enemy." A loud metal roar came from behind the pit. The remaining hunters were still coming. They kept running until the tunnel opened into a massive circular chamber. Old cables hung from the ceiling. In the center stood a huge inactive reactor, glowing faintly with ancient power. Green light shimmered on the walls like ghost fire. Reva stopped suddenly. She stared at the reactor with wide, fearful eyes. This is where my people died." Evan looked at her carefully. "You don't have to talk about it now, we just need to get out." But Reva shook her head slowly. "You asked me before why the hunters want me." Her voice trembled with pain. "It is because of what happened here." Evan stepped closer, gentle and patient. "My people," Reva continued, "had the power to control energy. Not machines, not technology, but living energy in the universe. But I was different. My gift was stronger, too strong. I could not control it. The hunters came to capture my clan. We fought back. But when I tried to stop them, I released too much power." Her voice cracked, her glowing eyes dimmed. "The entire chamber exploded. My clan died instantly. The hunters thought my power was a weapon. They have been hunting me ever since." Evan placed a hand on her shoulder. "Reva, that wasn't your fault." "It was," she whispered. "I lost control, and I will lose control again if I use my power." Before Evan could answer, a heavy explosion shook the chamber. The hunters entered through the tunnel, metal bodies glowing red, weapons charged. Reva stepped back in panic. "Evan, stay behind me." "No," he said, "we do this together." One of the hunters fired a blast. Evan pushed Reva aside and the beam hit the floor, burning a deep hole. Dust filled the air. Reva's glowing strands sparked with thin arcs of blue energy. She was losing control. "Reva," Evan said calmly, "look at me." She did, her eyes were shaking with fear. "You're not alone anymore," Evan told her. "You have someone with you now, someone who believes in you." Reva swallowed nervously. I do not know how to control it." "You do," Evan said softly. "You just never had someone beside you while trying." The hunters charged toward them again. Reva closed her eyes. Blue light began to shine from her hands. Evan stood beside her, ready. The chamber filled with a loud rising hum. The energy around Reva started swirling, wild and bright, like a storm trapped inside her body. But this time Evan held her hand firmly. "You're doing great," he whispered. "I'm here, I won't let anything happen to you." Reva took a deep breath. Then she opened her eyes. A wave of blue energy burst from her hands, forming a shimmering shield around them. The hunters fired their weapons, but the beams bent away as if hitting an invisible barrier. Reva gasped, I did it." "See," Evan smiled, "you're amazing." But the hunters were not done. They spread out, circling them, searching for a weak point. Their red eyes glowed brighter and their weapons hummed hotter. Reva tightened her grip on Evan's hand. "I cannot hold this shield forever." "You won't have to," Evan said. He looked around quickly. There were old power conduits running from the reactor to the walls. If he could overload one of them, the explosion might destroy the hunters, but they needed to be clear of the blast. "Reva," he said, "I need you to do something difficult." Reva nodded slowly. "Tell me." "When I break that reactor open," Evan explained, "the whole chamber will explode. We have to escape through that upper tunnel." He pointed to a small, high opening in the wall. "Can you lift us with your power?" Reva looked at the tunnel, then at Evan. I have never tried." "I trust you," Evan said. Those two words made her glowing eyes soften in a way Evan had never seen before. "All right," she whispered. The hunters began charging again. Evan rushed to the reactor, ripping open a panel with his tools. Sparks flew everywhere. The machine roared as it powered up for the first time in centuries. Reva raised her hands and gathered her energy. Blue light wrapped around her and Evan like gentle fire. "On my signal," Evan shouted. The hunters reached the center of the chamber. Their weapons glowed red-hot. "Now, Reva." Reva lifted her hands. A surge of power exploded beneath their feet. Blue energy lifted them into the air like they were weightless. Reva's glow grew brighter, her strands flowing like rivers of light as she focused with everything she had. Below them, the hunters fired, but the beams curved away. Evan pulled the final wire on the reactor. The reactor cracked. The entire room flashed white. Then the explosion hit. A massive wave of green and blue light burst out. The hunters were swallowed instantly, their metal bodies melting and breaking apart in the blast. Fire surged through the chamber like a sun being born. Reva screamed as the shockwave hit them, but she held on to Evan and pushed upward with all her strength. They shot into the upper tunnel just moments before the entire chamber collapsed into a storm of rubble and fire. Evan and Reva crashed onto the floor of the small tunnel above, rolling across the ground. Dust and debris rained behind them. Everything below was destroyed. Reva lay on the floor, breathing heavily, her glowing features dim with exhaustion. Evan moved beside her. "Reva, are you okay?" She opened her eyes slowly. I did not lose control." "No," Evan said with a warm smile. "You controlled it perfectly." Reva stared at him with wonder. "You helped me believe I could." She slowly sat up. Her glowing strands rested softly around her shoulders. The chamber below them hissed with smoke and heat, but the hunters were gone. They were safe for now. Evan stood and offered her his hand. She looked at it for a moment, then took it gently and rose to her feet. "There is still one exit," Reva said. "I know a way to the surface." "Then let's get out of here," Evan said. They moved through the small tunnel until it eventually opened into a narrow shaft. A broken ladder led upward toward a faint circle of light. Evan climbed first, then helped Reva. When they finally reached the surface, the sky above them was turning golden with the beginning of sunrise. The moon, once silent and cold, now felt peaceful. Reva stood at the edge of the crater, watching the light spread. Her face glowed softly in the morning colors. Evan watched her quietly. She was still beautiful, maybe even more now that she wasn't hiding anymore. Reva turned to him slowly. "Evan, why did you help me?" she asked softly. "Why did you stay even after seeing my face, even after learning what I did?" Evan stepped closer. "Because I didn't see a monster. I saw someone who has suffered alone for too long, someone who deserved kindness, someone who needed a friend." Reva looked down at her glowing hands. "Where I come from, no one ever called me beautiful, no one ever called me friend." "You have one now," Evan said. Reva lifted her eyes again. For the first time since he met her, she smiled, a small, bright, glowing smile that lit up her entire face. "Evan," she whispered, "may I stay with you? I have no home left, no clan, no world. I do not want to be alone anymore. Evan nodded gently. You don't have to be alone. Come with me. We'll find a place together. Riva took a deep breath. A new kind of hope shone in her eyes. Thank you, she whispered. Truly, thank you. Evan smiled and began walking toward his shuttle. Riva walked beside him, her cloak fluttering softly in the morning air. For the first time in her life, she didn't hide her face. She let the light touch her freely. As they reached the shuttle ramp, Riva stopped and looked at the rising sun. No one has ever looked at me without fear, she said quietly. Evan turned to her and answered gently, maybe the galaxy just needed to see you through human eyes. Riva's glowing smile grew brighter. Together they stepped into the shuttle, leaving the lonely moon behind. And for the first time in a long time, Riva felt something she thought she would never feel again. Hope. A new journey had begun,